Welcome back to the Bearded Garage. All right, today we got a 2014 911 Carrera S. I think that's a 991. And we are going to put a Fabspeed Valvetronic exhaust on it today. And as part of that, we're going to take the bumper off. We're going to take the wheels off, and we also at the same time picked up one of the Fabspeed's cold air intakes. So follow along. I'm going to show you how this all goes together. All right, now that the wheels are off, in order to get the bumper off the car, there are T25 Torx bits, 1, 2, and 3 in the wheel well. There are, you're gonna have to open the, so you have to turn the car on, put accessories, open the rear lid. That's not the hood, right? That's technically the hood. This is the rear lid. And then there's 1, 2, 3, 4 more Torx, 3 more in the other wheel well. Once you do those, and I'll show you, you can see I already took the headlight out or the tail light out here. On this side, you pop this plastic piece off, and these are T20s, a little bit smaller. Once you do that, you can slide the headlight or the tail light out, and there'll be another T25 right here, and that's probably the last thing holding the bumper on. All right, taking the tail light out is pretty simple. I took this plastic piece off. There are 2 T20s right there. This guy just slides out nice and easy. Yeah, it's kind of got to slide out directly. You can't pivot it out. Once you pull it out, unclip it. So it'll be just a standard clip. Push in on that, and it'll come out. And then the bumper comes off with that T25. I'll show you what we got in just a second. I may have neglected to mention underneath the bumper, on either side, you got 1, 2. You got 1, 2 in the back, and then 2 more on the side. So 6 underneath. All right, now we'll try removing the bumper. All right, now we got all those out. First thing we do is we pop. There's a tab here. There's a tab here. And then you should be able to grab the bumper from underneath and slowly wiggle it. And then you'll immediately find there is another one of those electrical connectors right here. So before you take and hang the bumper off of its electrical cord, you want to pop that off. I like to use a screwdriver just because it takes me a lot less time. Once that connector is off, you should be able to just slide the bumper off. For now, we're going to put it right here. We'll pick it up and put it on a cloth here in a minute. Keep it nice and protected. All right, since we're doing a couple jobs, go back up above here. We're actually going to just pop this. This is the fan assembly. Pull it off the intake scoop. A little bit of rubber here. Try not to bang it around. Once you pull it off, we're going to disconnect the fans and then pull the hood scoop, unlatch it, and pull the hood scoop out. Now you can see the fan actually popped out of this. It actually just presses on here. It's got some silicone on it or something. So we're gonna unlatch it. It is latched here. So you can probably see it's a pretty simple clip. We'll pull it off and then I'll put it back on here and show you how I put it back on or take it back off. All right, so this is the trunk here. Here is the air intake scoop at the original scoop. I think all you gotta do is disconnect this And then this scoop actually fits down onto 2 grommets. So I think you just pull it and slide it out. And the original scoop is off. Now we're back down off our bench. We're gonna take the air housing off the car. That's a 10 mil bolt there. And another 10 mil, there's only 2 of them. So another one right there. We'll take both of those off. And I think the housing should come off pretty quick, maybe unclipping a few more things. I'll let you watch and see what happens when I pull and what else needs to come back off. I'm putting all these in a catch pan over here. I believe, yeah, this whole thing comes loose now. So it looks like you need to just pull a little bit. So I'm gonna try wiggling this. I can't do it with the phone in my hand, so I'll let you know if I run into any pieces. All right, you're trying to pull this airbox out. You got to undo this throttle body clamp here that's clamping everything together. So, after we have removed the clamp to the throttle body, I'm gonna come over here and we're gonna try taking this housing out. So we just got to pull off. I think these are changeover valves, maybe vacuum valves. So, and we'll be reusing these on the next a couple of pieces here. So, pull them off. I think once you pull them off, you should be able to mostly pull this out. There's one more piece back in here. You gotta tuck it and pull it. So I think there's a sound chamber tube at the bottom too. So we'll have to reach in and grab that. All right, I apologize. I made a mistake earlier when I said this is a Fabspeed intake. It's actually an AFE power intake, advanced flow engineering. So here is their kit. You'll see that's the box once I took it off. That's the old, the original equipment stuff. And then the scoop, the 2 tail lights, and then the cover with the fans. Here's what comes in the kit. You get some stickers, you get some warranty information, a manual. Looks like a T to break it out into whether it's, these look like the K&N filters basically that you'd have to keep moist. You put oil on them. These are the standards, I think. It doesn't actually describe that in the manual. We've got a couple of rubber gaskets, some hose clamps, and then they actually, it looks like they give you a nice towel to wipe everything down and make sure it's nice and pretty when you're done. So that's actually what we have. That's in the kit. One thing I didn't mention when we were taking out the original airbox, if you see this black hose here on the ground, that's actually the sound chamber tube. So up above where the clamp came off to the throttle body, you just squeeze that and you got to pull the sound chamber off. All right, I forgot to mention that before. All right, a little prep you're gonna have to do with the new airbox before you put it in. So a couple things we're gonna have to take off the old one. We've got these screens here. They go down underneath in there, so you only need 2 of them. I think there's 2 on either side of this. You'll need both of those. And then underneath the old airbox, there are these rubber grommets on either side with sleeves. We'll need to take those off, and you're gonna pop them in through these holes in the back here. So let's prep that. All right, now we're gonna prep the engine bay before we put the intake back in. Parts you're gonna need. You're going to need something for the sound chamber. We're going to clamp that off. It's going to be back on the throttle body, and then we have to block off these relays that were here before. So these caps, I'll show you. These caps go one here and the other here. I obviously pulled off the other end of the airbox, so I'll just disconnect that and put these caps on. The sound chamber. I mentioned the black cord that came off before right here. So we're gonna clamp that off. That comes in the kit as well. We are gonna add this connects to the throttle body with this blue vacuum hose into the side of it. It only goes one way. You'll be able to read AFE power, and obviously that going off to the right. And then the last thing you have to do is disconnect. These are 9/16 bolts for the 9/16 nuts for the heat shield. Don't take the heat shield off. The whole goal is you're going to use these. We're going to tighten it down inside the airbox to hold it in place. And I think that's everything. We'll put the next to us. We'll put the box in. All right. Before we put the airbox in, so we're all prepped and ready to go. We are replacing the exhaust system as well, and I just happened to look through that. I know that the exhaust system has a couple of controllers, some electronics, and they mount up in here. They connect in some of these wiring harnesses. So before we put all this back together, because we're at the tail end of it, honestly, you slide it in, put the T in through here, and you got your filters on. So you're pretty much done with that component. Most of the hard part was actually getting the old one out. So what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna take the rest of the bumper off, and these side skirts. So I believe the side skirts actually come out with 10 mil. There's only 3 or 4 of them. 10 mil, and then there's one in here, and 10 mil in here. And then there's a Torx to connect it to the bumper piece. And then I'll show you what else. All right, we're taking the other side off. Now I am going to remove this so I can actually get to and see all the pieces of the exhaust system. So I'm gonna take the actual bumper off rather than just the plastic cover. This is, it's got 3 12 mil bolts with a big extension. You can reach in and grab them all. So I'll pull those off and then show you what I got. Here is the car with the side skirts off and the rear bumper off. You can actually see pretty much everything in order to get this apart. So I started just slowly putting down the Fabspeed pieces, obviously on a piece of cardboard, so they don't scratch up on the floor. But it's pretty simple if you look at it, self-explanatory on where it goes. All right, disconnect the exhaust. I'm trying to do it in one big piece. So I've done 3 bolts on the cats. Up above it, there's actually a bracket that looks like that, and that connects up here. On the opposite side of the muffler, there's actually, this rotates and 2 bolts fit right there. And you do the same for the other side. And then I undid the Allens in the center, and I just pulled those brackets off. And I think you just pull it off a little bit, unless I'm missing something. And be careful, there's a couple of vacuum hoses right there. You're gonna disconnect in the back. All right, exhaust is off the car. Those were the only bolts that we needed, and we had to pull those vacuum. There was these here, then these have vacuum nipples on them, so that's somewhere, I don't know, it was up here somewhere. Right there. All right, I have the exhaust back on the car. It took actually a couple hours longer than I expected. You can't really assemble this on the floor. Maybe you can if you 100% know what you're doing, but because there's so many pieces, you have to kind of assemble it on the car, unfortunately. I learned a lot while doing it, and I'm going to walk you through a whole bunch of pieces and parts. And just as a reminder, the reason I did it, the reason I put this, I had to take everything off, is there is a controller that goes up. That's why we stopped doing the airbox. We're actually going to install the controller and then test out the exhaust. It actually allows you to turn it on and off. So as part of the system, we actually have a valve controller box. So it comes with this controller, it comes with some type of vacuum actuator, a couple of T's to put it all together, some vacuum hoses, and some zip ties to keep it all out of the way. Here are the Bluetooth controlled on off, I guess. It's really, so when you're driving the car, you can turn it on and off. Apparently this is loud enough to scare your neighbors when it starts in the morning if it's on. So I did call Fabspeed during this because I ran into a couple of interesting problems. They sent all of these none of which, actually only 6 of which were used. So I asked them first on the phone. They said, just to be clear, everything is supposed to be used. And then they got the supervisor on the phone. They found out that, well, actually, I don't need any of this for the car. The only thing I needed was actually 6 copper bolts, 6 copper nuts, and they go in there. You can see on the, that is the flange. So the only couple things that you're going to use when you put this together, make sure you replace, they provide a new flange for the cat. And then they provide these copper nuts that look really cool. Other than that, okay, so the problems that I ran into, they don't tell you, there's no instructions, so this is kind of the insane part, but it is relatively self-explanatory. They don't tell you that you're going to need to reuse these. Now, maybe we should have known that. I pulled this off the old exhaust system. It doesn't look gorgeous, but again, this is all going to be hidden by the bumper anyway. You needed both of them from the old exhaust, so that's a 2.5-inch coupler, exhaust coupler, so it's pretty simple. But I was wondering where those parts are. They are not included. The next problem that we run into, I'm gonna get here. Let's go on the other side. So this is a like a V-type coupler. This V coupler is actually garbage. I mean, when I say garbage, I mean garbage. And it's not the coupler itself. It's actually the nut on the bottom. Now, I'm gonna show you, if I can zoom in, there you go. So I actually cut off the old nuts that came with it and put these 2 on. Why, you ask? Did I have to modify some crap? Well, it actually came with these, and these are, you can see I cut it, right? This looks like some type of locking nut, so you don't have to worry about it coming back apart. The problem with it is it was stuck. On both of them, so it didn't come on, it didn't go off. I couldn't do anything with it. It was just in both V couplers, they were just stuck. So if you run into that, I just frankly I cut this nut off, and then the second one I said, well, you know what, the bolt that's in there is long enough, so I don't actually care, so I just cut it right off. And then I rounded the end so it'll fit a nut, and then I double nutted it and then locked them against each other. It is a M6 by 1, or an M6 is what I should say. So that is that annoyance. Both of them are on now, so it's probably not a big deal. They're all tightened right down. I did twist everything up out of the way so that it just looks a little bit prettier. All right, let me see what else I'm going to show you here. Okay, so the last piece that was kind of a pain, and I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you the design so that when you go to assemble it, you can actually see how it goes together. You want to be able to read Fabspeed. There's actually their logo on the other side. That means the short piece is on the top and the long piece is on the bottom. So this X has long pieces and short pieces. From there, you have the vacuum connectors. So this one swings down around this pipe, and then it actually will go here. That's where these pieces go to. So these exhaust tips. The exhaust tip only mounts to the outside piece, to this outside flange here, right? The muffler, that all mounts up above. You will have to steal the bracket from the old exhaust. It's not provided. Look at that. America. That's a cool logo. That's what I'm gonna use for the video here. Okay. You're gonna have to steal this bracket. So this bracket comes off of the old muffler. I reused the same bolts. You don't get actually bolts for that. The other one had a bushing here. I just used the bolt that was in the old one, but not the bushing because the bushing doesn't come out. I think that is it. Other than that, oh, these straps. So these straps are Royal Pain. And I say Royal Pain because they should be about an inch longer. And it looks like I have enough thread here, but in order to connect these, the only way I was able to do it, I put them together and I could only push it, not even enough to make the nut engage. So I pulled them together. I actually wired from here to here and twisted the wire in order to pull it together enough so that I could actually get the nut started. Once I had the nut started, I just cranked it on. That was, I mean, obviously trivial, but that is what I have run into on this project. A couple more things I realized I didn't mention. When you slide the bumper back in, there's actually a heat shield. You're going to want to leave yourself a little bit of space, just enough to get your finger in there on both sides. Secondarily, there is a vacuum. They give you a braided vacuum line, which is kind of a pain in the ass, but it's also way too long. So you see it snakes all the way up there. The only way I could get that to work, well, the only way I get it to work, the way it works is I had to pull, there is an elbow there, so I just yanked the elbow off. That's the spare parts. Other than that, that's what she looks like. After we prepped for the new airbox and we installed the exhaust, we were going to put a valve controller in here. Now the car comes with one, and we know that because there are valves on the side of the original exhaust. The only advantage, I'm not sure if there's an advantage to this, the only advantage is when it starts in the morning, for example, you can turn the exhaust off. So for example, the car opens the exhaust so it can start easier. So it's loud, and the owner wanted to be able to just turn it off whenever he wanted to, or better yet, because the exhaust on this Carrera S kind of opens when it wants to based on RPM, based on sport mode, etc. He wants to be able to turn it on at low RPMs, for example, just so it has a throatier sound. The problem with that, and I can't quite, I'm not 100% sure he's not going to throw some type of code because we're going to have to, block off the original solenoid. So I asked him a couple of questions. I'm not sure, and he said, why don't we just leave it in, or why don't we just hold off right now? We'll just do this this exhaust system. We'll put the airbox on, see how everything sounds. If it is too obnoxious, he has the controller, and we can put it in at a later date. So if you have the active vacuum actuators on your exhaust itself, right? If you have the vacuum actuators on your exhaust itself, then you're not going to need a controller. And this is the one he got for his 991. It's about $500. So at this point, I'm not sure if he's going to keep it or return it. All right, starting by putting the airbox back in. There are two 10 mil bolts on the outside and these 13s on the inside. After we've installed the airbox, there's a gasket that goes in here. Make sure that seat's nice and flush. And the flat side goes to the top. Flat side goes to the top like that. Through there then goes this guy. So that will seat like that. All right, and then on the other end of that, make sure you, now you can clamp it together, and we'll go grab the air filters. All right, after a couple quick attempts at this, I'm gonna show you the easiest way to do it, because putting this in there is a real pain in the butt. So I put the filter on, clamped it in place, put the filter on, clamped it in place, slid this boot all the way up. It's actually too far in, but you can slide it, and I've clamped this. You actually can't reach this one very easily from inside. And then I've undone the vacuum line, and so I leave just this clamp because you can easily reach it. I left it on this side because it's easier to do. There's something hanging on that side. So I'll pick it up. Amazingly, the hole is big enough for you to fit, if you wiggle it back and forth, all of those clamps in. And now she's in place. Now all I have to do is reach in, push the gasket, and clamp it on the inside. So that's what it looks like. That's what she looks like once installed. The gasket in the back is pushed up against the wall, and then you've clamped here, and don't forget to hook up that vacuum line. That is the airbox. Now we're starting to put the bumper back on. I could have put the cover back on the airbox, but I just think it looks cool, so I'm looking at it for right now. Now I'm going to put so remember this is just 6 bolts, 3 on either side, and then we're going to put the side skirts back on as well. All right, the side skirts are on, bumper is on, other side skirt is on as well. We are going to put the cover on the intake. It's actually just, looks like 6 or 7 Allen head nuts holding those in place, or bolts holding those in place. We're gonna bolt that in place, show you what it looks like. All right, the cover is back on. I would say fit and finish of this is medium. I wouldn't say it's fantastic. I really had to squeeze this to get it together. Yeah, that's Windex. I shined it all up so it would look pretty. The screws are nice, but it just doesn't fit together great. All right, I slid the bumper back on. Frankly, if you start on the outside here, you'll see it starts to slide together. Key is line up these holes and make sure that the plastic is on top of the clips here, and you'll find that everything lines up great. And then just put all the screws back in. All right, the reverse of the way we took them out, just slide these in. You're actually gonna have to, at the end, just push in on this end. You got 2 long bolts here. Once you have those in, snap this plastic thing back over top here. Protector cap or whatever the hell it is. All right, and then same for the other side. All right, the bumper is back in the car. That's 3 in the wheel well, 2 on the bottom, 2 on the bottom, 2 on the other side, 3 in the wheel well, 4 torque screws up along here, 2 for each tail light, one there and one there underneath those plastic pieces, and the screw behind the headlight. Should be all everything that we need. We are going to reuse this. Looks like the scoop fits into the performance engineering one, so I'm going to put that in, and then it'll fit inside of there, and don't forget to connect the fans. There's a fan connection on each side. There's also lighting bumper connection here as you're putting it together, and of course each headlight needs to be connected as well. All right, scoop is installed, fan is connected, this fan we can actually click back into place on the rubber here. And now we're just gonna lower this in place, push it down on, and it just gets pushed down under these rubber slimy grommet things. That is it. All right, she's all back together. The wheels are on. We're gonna give her a start and see what she sounds like. And that is pretty much all you can see from that big old shiny exhaust. Here is the start from the inside. You can actually hear it quiet down after about 15 to 20 seconds. All right, this is after the exhaust is put on. We're gonna give her a first start in the garage. Go ahead, bud. After reassembly and a thorough amount of test driving, I can tell you the car has the changes I can see. It's probably, I would guess, 5 to 8% horsepower change. That's about what Fabspeed is guessing by doing just the exhaust and combining the airbox with it. That would be about the same as if you chipped it. So chipping it on top of here won't make a whole lot of difference. The only thing I've noticed, the big difference now is when before the exhaust, it feels like I have more torque now. On the low end, I don't have to put or take traction control off in order to break the rear end free. Before it was a little bit harder. Now it seems to be easier. So that seems to be the biggest performance gain. It is loud. It is personally not exactly my style. I wound up driving it quite a bit, and I had to put it in manual mode to keep a droning noise out of the cabin, because it's got a lot more of a hum now that it didn't have before. Review wise, Fabspeed makes really nice stuff. And I talked to their guys there. I think I talked to a guy named Ted. Pretty friendly guy. The fact they don't give instructions, their instructions for their controllers, even though I didn't do the install, they weren't very thorough. Their pictures were dated and wrong. It seems a little odd to me for something that costs so much. Hopefully this video will make it easier for others. So if you're wondering, when you really step on it, it does sound absolutely phenomenal. In fact, my favorite part of this new exhaust is when I'm actually slowing down and I downshift when I'm in manual. When I'm in manual mode, it's an automatic car. When I downshift, it goes bah, 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 and I just love that downshift back pressure. I guess it's a back pressure sound. So it does sound pretty cool. It doesn't look a whole lot different, but it definitely feels different. Thanks for watching this video on the Bearded Garage. If you like what you see, hit subscribe, smash that like button. I think we got some more content similar, 911 stuff coming up. Also, if anybody needs a stock 991 exhaust with only 11,000 miles on there, it's like 10,800 miles on it, or an airbox, hit me up in the comments, all right? Thanks. See you next time.